It's time for Bring Your Own Lunch, a podcast for your whole face, with your host, Dave T. Koenig.
Well, hello, come on in, welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at bringyourownlunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this program, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I am an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude, and of course the host of the program you're listening to right now, BYOL. Glad to have you on board. My guest this week is Rob King. He's a friend of mine who is an actor and playwright who has been recognized well for both. He recently appeared on the Blacklist, and he is working on several projects as we speak. I met Rob doing a show in New York called Accomplice, and Accomplice is an interactive theater experience. This is where the audience gets thrust into an environment with actors, and the actors are always in character, and they're interacting with the audience. And as Rob and I discuss, having the audience be given license to talk to an actor during a performance for the actor creates all kinds of different challenges and complications and fun things that can happen. And we talk about that. And it's good to connect with him that way and maybe shed some light on something you may not be aware of. I don't want to tell you too much about Accomplice itself, and you'll hear we sort of talk around what Accomplice is. Because part of the fun of going to Accomplice and seeing that show is not knowing what you're getting into, but we are able to talk about the unique things that happen when you have an audience who can speak directly to actors as they're doing their thing. And for me, doing that show was a great challenge because I was able to use the abilities that I brought to the table all at the same time sometimes, acting and improv and stand-up. So good challenge, and he and I talk about that. I went up to his apartment in Harlem, and we talk a little bit about that as well, and some of the work he's done, including the play Halfrican American, for which he was recognized, all about his unique situation growing up in New Jersey as the son of an African American father and a Caucasian mother. And he and I connected on that level as well. You'll hear why as the interview progresses, so I'm excited to bring that to you. Well, it happened. It was bound to happen. It was inevitable. I was waiting for it, and it finally did happen today. I was nominated for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Now, if for some reason you are unfamiliar with the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, it is essentially this. You are nominated, and you have 24 hours. Within those 24 hours, you either must dump a bucket of ice water on your head, or donate money to ALSA. That is the association that is doing some great work to help defeat the disease ALS, or as it's more commonly known in parts, Lou Gehrig's disease. So far, amazingly, this campaign has managed to raise millions and millions of dollars just for the silly notion of dumping ice buckets of water on people's heads. And as of today, the latest from ALSA is that they have raised $88.5 million through people doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. Now, at its heart, I love the idea that people have been donating tons and tons and tons and tons of money to help fight a major disease. And without that kind of money, organizations like ALSA cannot do what they do. They do amazing research and outreach, and their design is to cure the world of this disease, which is, for people who are afflicted with it, just a terrible ordeal, and nobody should have to go through that. And in my mind, anything that brings attention to and sends money to help with programs like what the ALSA is doing, I am completely and utterly all for. But if you've known me for any length of time, you know that the last person on earth who is likely to do something that everybody does, that person is probably me. I have a hard time doing something that has become viral. I've never Macarenaed. I have never planked. I didn't do a Harlem Shake. And this one kind of kind of stuck me. Again, I do not fault anybody for being involved in raising money for a cause like the ALS. I'm all for it. But on the other hand, if everybody's walking down the street heading west wearing blue shirts, I will walk in the other direction wearing a red shirt. That's just how I'm built. That's in my DNA, and I can't help that. But at the same time, I do want to help create awareness, and I do want to help raise money for ALS research and the battle against that disease. So what do I do? Well, my sister Jen, who I mentioned last week, nominated me. She posted her video of her dumping water on her head on Facebook and tagged me. She tagged my wife, and somebody who I've never heard of before, but I'm sure a very nice person nonetheless. And now I have 24 hours to figure out what to do, but I think I'm going to handle it like this. I'm not going to tag anybody. In fact, I am going to engage in the Ice Bucket Challenge, but I'm going to do it in my own way. And I'm going to record it tomorrow, and I'm going to post it. I'll post it on my website. I will post it on bringyourownlunch.com. I'll post it on Facebook, and I will post it on Twitter, and you can see what I do. And if you are like me, if you are one of those people who do appreciate the idea of raising money for good causes, because look at what science is doing for us. Look at what science is capable of. I was just doing a little bit of a quick cursory search, and in this summer alone, in Japan, they have begun the process of creating eyeballs, using stem cells from scratch, in hopes that soon enough they will be able to donate those eyeballs to people who don't have them. And without that kind of money behind that effort, you cannot get eyeballs made from scratch. And in Scotland, this news was posted today by the Huffington Post. Researchers in Scotland, they've created a fully functional organ from scratch inside the body of a living animal. That means that somehow, some way, in the very near future, relatively speaking, somebody who needs a new kidney can have it harvested from somebody because that kidney was generated within some living animal's body. And they're able to do this stuff. And it is amazing. But we need the money to do it. So if you're like me and you do like the idea of raising money for good causes, but you have a hard time engaging in something like the Ice Bucket Challenge, and you don't want to post a video of yourself dumping ice water on your head, well, I may be able to help you out. I'm not going to tell you what. So if you're hearing this, go to bringyourownlunch.com starting on Wednesday of this week that this podcast is being released, and you'll see how you can jump on to what I'm doing. And I certainly will be making a donation to ALSA, and I encourage you to do the same. And I do appreciate everybody who has dumped water on their heads and donated money, because that's really what it is. And the awareness campaign has been amazing. I mean, this thing is just viral beyond belief. And I think what's happened to bring recognition and knowledge about ALSA has been fantastic. So I think all of it has been positive. There have been some people who have posted videos of themselves donating money without the water, and I think that's great. I'm not particularly on board with people who criticize people who have been doing this in the name of giving money, but I am also on board with people who have criticized others for just dumping ice water on their heads, but forgetting to mention anything about ALS or donating money. And it's really just about them dumping ice water on their heads. So for the people who have donated, for the people who have helped bring awareness to ALSA and the fight against that disease, I give you all the credit in the world. And to all those who haven't jumped on board yet, join me. I may have your solution, and we will do this all together because a rising tide lifts all boats. So if we're all on board, then we're all going to be okay, by and large, at some point. Want to make sure, of course, we thank some people who are always part of this show. Particularly Banuba.net. They're the folks that provide the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show, and they are terrific. Please visit them at banuba.net. That's BANOOBA.net. You'll find out where they are playing live, and you can download some of their music and find out their Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. Last night, at least last night, if you are listening to this on Tuesday, I'm recording this on Tuesday, and last night we had the New York Short Film Shootout number 2 at Treehouse Theater in New York City. That was our second event, and we had a great lineup of 6 films. We had a fantastic time. There was a very unusual film that was a music video for the band Afterbirth Monkey, and actually it was Afterbirth Monkey featuring Schaefer the Dark Lord, which I thought was fascinating because Schaefer and Dark Lord, they don't seem to agree with one another. But apparently he's a nerdcore rapper, and when you're nerdcore, I guess you can be Schaefer and a Dark Lord. But it's kind of like Sheldon the Devil, something like that. Anyway, this video, directed by Eric Ford for Afterbirth Monkey, featuring Schaefer the Dark Lord, that was our winner. It was the video for the song It's Raining Dicks. It's not as bad as you think. It's worse. Anyway, no, we had a great time. That was a fun video. And to everybody who's submitted their films to the New York Short Film Shootout number 2, we appreciate it, and thank you very much. We are going to have another event in September. We're negotiating for the date, so stay tuned on that, and you can find out all the information you need to get in with us. NYSFO, I did it again, NYSFSO.com. That's the acronym for New York Short Film Shootout.com. And that's where you can find out how you can be involved in the next New York Short Film Shootout, the New York Short Film Shootout number 3. Also want to make sure I thank my co-producer, co-founder of that event, Vinny Petrosini, who does an amazing job, and I probably haven't thanked enough when I've been announcing this thing over the past several weeks. And as we move forward, I want to make sure that he gets his just due, because he is, it's a 50-50 split, and there's no way that thing happens without his effort, and I want to make sure he is recognized for it. Also, just check out the TreehouseTheaterNYC.com. That's the venue where the New York Short Film Shootout was held last night, and we always thank them for their help in getting this show on the road. Speaking of getting the show on the road, let's get to my interview with Rob King. Good guy. Interesting stuff. Enjoy. Have you gotten hit by as many mosquitoes as I have this summer?
Last night alone, I thought I was going to die. I was barbecuing with my girlfriend, and I was like, it was like a really nice night, and we were having a great time, but I was like, this has to stop because you're getting killed. I'm just destroyed. My legs are done.
Yeah. Where was this?
Jersey City.
And that's where I think all of the bugs have decided to live.
Jersey is a terrible place.
New Jersey, it's parts of it are nice.
Listen, I'm from Jersey. I love it. No, yeah.
It can be rough in areas. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm from there. I can say it. It's like saying a lot of bad words. You're like, that's our word. We can make fun of Jersey.
That's the joy of being Jewish, or at least part Jewish. You can make all the Jewish jokes you want, and if anybody raises a complaint about it, you just say, no, my dad was Jewish. Yeah. And they're like, okay. All right.
Well, then it was very funny.
Good joke. Yeah. Yes. So we're actually starting.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the start. We're
great,
informal as we go. But Rob King, you are unique in many ways, and we'll get into it. But your name is so straightforward, and it's like a perfect showbiz name. Was that chosen, or was that granted upon you?
It was granted upon me. Quite lucky in that way. Yeah. A lot of people think it was kind of picked out by me, but it's my God-given name.
It's as somebody who doesn't have a showbizy name, unless you're Chekhov from Star Trek, I just, I hear people like that, and I'm like, you cheated. You get away with having a name already. That's not fair.
Listen, if it'll make you feel better, I will change it tonight.
It's ironic though. My last name is the same as yours in German.
Is that right?
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, we're probably brothers.
I look at you a lot, and I'm like, is he?
Yeah. I think somewhere along the line our paths crossed genetically.
That makes sense. I feel better now. I feel like this is going to work out for me.
Are you a big barbecuer? Is that?
Yeah, when I can be. I haven't barbecued in a long time because I'm living in an apartment in New York, and I
doesn't afford a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, so I go to a park somewhere, which is really nice, but I just don't do that. But my girlfriend lives in Jersey City, and every time I can get over there to barbecue, I'm like, let's do
a barbecue.
Yeah,
nice. What'd you guys make?
Oh, we had a steak on there.
Nice. There you go. See,
and marinated it for a little while, rubbed it down. We put some shrimp on a skewer, some vegetables she cut up. She's an amazing cook. I basically just took the meat and put it on there and kept flipping it and like grunting at her.
That's a good job.
I did my job.
Yeah, that's a good job.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to your beginning. You are from New Jersey.
I am originally from New Jersey. Central New Jersey, East Brunswick, right near Rutgers. I acted when I was a little kid. Actually,
that's where we definitely want to start. What? Tell me about your childhood acting stuff.
Yeah, not a whole lot. I think my mom just put me into acting and modeling when I was young, just because she was like, he needs an outlet. He makes faces. He acts up in school. Let's put him in front of a camera, kind of thing. I did that for about 2 years. It was like getting out of school early. It was really cool. My mom had dragged me to New York for castings.
How were you when you did this?
How old?
Yeah,
I was probably 10. Around there.
So like 5th-ish grade, something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's weird. We had the same last name, and we pretty much did the same thing.
Really?
But I came from the opposite side of New York City. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you, so it's not that, we're not carbon copies of one another. So
we're pretty much twins.
Fine, we're twins.
Okay.
All right, we're going with twins.
We are the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger twins.
That's right. With a mother who absolutely hates both of us because she went through a probably 7 or 8 year maternity. What do you call that when you finally have the baby? I have 2 children, and I don't know what it's called when you actually have the baby.
Birthing process.
Yeah. So she started with me, and then 8 years later came you. That's a lot of time in the hospital.
You know what? But it's worth it. Well worth the wait.
Look at what we get from it.
Yeah.
The joy of brotherhood.
And this podcast.
How often would you go in when you went in?
I think it was about once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you have an agent? Did you have an agency?
I did. And I found out later on that it wasn't a really good agency. Now I look back and they're still around.
Oh, they are? Okay.
They are.
So we don't want to really badmouth who they are, but
screw those guys. They didn't get me any jobs. Actually, they did. I shouldn't say anything. We didn't know anything, and it petered out after about 2-3 years of that. There was some cool print ads, and all my friends were impressed, and some regional commercials and stuff like that. But it wasn't anything like my college wasn't paid for because of my child modeling gigs.
Yes, that's exactly how it was for me. I mean, I did a couple print ads. Mm-hmm. I did background work on a CBS TV movie.
Nice.
And I was on the cover of a book called Onion John. That was my claim to fame.
That's you. You're okay.
I am the Onion John kid. I think if you go to Amazon, you can still find a copy of the book Onion John, where I'm on the cover.
Get that book and have you sign it for me.
I will.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants a copy of Onion John, just buy your own, send it to me, self-addressed stamped envelope. I will send it back.
There you go. Okay.
All right. So what was the biggest thing you booked back then?
I think it was a bunch of print ads for Kids R Us, I think it was.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I still had the portfolio somewhere.
Nice.
I used to bring it out for the girlfriends and just really impress them with hey, you want to see me in footy pajamas when I was 10? I was a big star.
Kids R Us was a big deal back then too.
Yeah,
it was top of the line.
Yeah,
if you were a kid model, that you got the Kids R Us job.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, I was a big deal at 10. I don't want to brag. It was a big deal.
And do you remember any of the experiences of going to audition or go-sees or whatever?
One stands out so much. The shoots were great. when I was looking at the print ads, I loved it. It was a big fun, play around for me. But the like the go-sees and like real auditions for on-camera stuff, I was terrible at. I just had no experience, and I wanted to be so mature, and I wanted to like prove that I could I could get a job and I could be a real actor and all this stuff. And I thought I was so serious. And I remember going in for one audition, and I think it was just like a go-see with the casting director talking about a certain project. And it was a comedy, and she's sitting there asking me questions, and I can remember just trying to be as serious as possible with my answers. And it was just, she's probably like, no, this is the wrong kid. Like, he's not right for this. He's way too serious. He's very dramatic.
If they need a 10-year-old accountant, they know who to call.
Right. Just the facts.
Was there anybody around back then? Because I don't remember any of the casting directors. I don't remember any of the production companies I might have worked with. I don't really much remember anything.
Yeah, either.
You don't remember anybody from back then?
No.
I was curious if like somebody like who we may have run into back then was still in the business now.
Sure. I mean, there's got to be, but I have no idea. Really, all it was for me was after we were done doing whatever we had to do. Some of it was fun, most of it was not. I just wanted to get a New York pretzel on the way home. That's all I cared about.
Yeah, it's so funny how like, no matter you could be from Long Island or New Jersey and have the same exact experience.
Yeah.
So back at home though, were you doing anything like that, or like what told you? Well, obviously your parents said that you were, your mom said that you were making faces and stuff like that, so that was an outlet. But did you have a local outlet for that stuff?
I mean, I'm sure there was, but I was not really involved in theater or anything like that. I was big into sports growing up, and that's kind of, I reached a point where it was, sports was so big that my football friends were just like, what are you doing? Oh, don't hit his face. He's too pretty. He's so I was just like, well, screw this. I don't want to get, made fun of anymore. I'm just going to play football, like whatever.
And so you just dropped the acting stuff?
Yeah. And I think my mom got tired of taking me in there. We didn't know what we were doing. It was like how you can't just be a cute kid, like it's a business, and we didn't belong.
And you knew the ones, you knew the other kids who knew what was going on, right?
Yeah.
You knew the ones who were like, we as adults would probably think they were horrible kids.
Sure.
But they knew what they were doing, and they were like intimidating when we were young.
Yeah. It was a different level. And I mean, you had the stage moms and everything. It just was not us at all.
No. Same here. And it's funny how that works. So when did you start gravitating back towards it?
When I was 22.
Okay.
After college, I was working a job, which is a regular 9-to-5 like sales job, and I hated it. And I was just 22, 23, and I was depressed. It was like it was bad. Mm-hmm. And I would go to work every day, maybe go to the gym afterwards, and then go get a 6-pack and go home. And
geez.
it was bad.
It was that bad.
Yeah.
Where were you at the time? Like,
I was living in Rahway.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on in Rahway for a 22-year-old Rob King, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing was, like, I was sitting there one night and just trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, and I knew it wasn't this job, whatever. And I was watching MTV, and they had this show called Made. If you remember that show, yeah. And this girl wanted to be a comedian or something like that, and they had her taking improv lessons.
Okay,
from a group called Comedy Sports.
With the Z, right?
With the Z, yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. In Minneapolis, I think
I think they're pretty big up there. Yeah,
they're all over the world. That was where she was, and I was watching the show, and I'm into my 6-pack, and I'm like watching this girl, and she was very good. But I'm like, man, I could do that. Like that looks fun. I could do that.
Yeah, isn't that sort of like the worst feeling until you decide to do something about it, where you're looking at people doing the thing you want to do, and you're denying yourself that thing. Yeah. And you're like mad at that person for actually doing it. And you're like, how come she gets to do it?
Right.
And then like at some point you have that realization that, I guess everybody who's walking this earth has the ability to kind of just say, I'm going to do that now.
Yeah.
But it's like that moment where you have that. That's like that's the biggest anger I think I know, is when I'm not doing the thing I want to do, but I misplaced that anger and directed at somebody completely removed from me.
Yeah. You're just mad at yourself for not doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. What did you go to school for?
I went to school for business, basically.
Okay.
And, well, started with criminal justice and then ended up being for business. But it was just, I went to school for football. I didn't really know.
Where'd you go?
King's College,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
All right.
I had no idea. I just wanted to play football more, and that was it.
Did you ever have any prospects of going anywhere? What division was?
Division III, but they were a good school. They had a good team, yeah.
And did you ever have any kind of aspirations of turning pro, or was that?
I'm still waiting for the growth spurt. When that kicks
Dave
in,
Meggett. Come on.
For sure. I was not that talented.
No, but that was what you were there to do. You were there to play football.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. But no, I wasn't going anywhere for my athletic ability.
This is why I think for a lot of people, the ages that they set for you to learn. Now, I've learned a lot from my kids, and I know that there's certain developmental stages where it's like they are absorbing all the important stuff, like how to talk and how to write and how to read and all that stuff. But after a certain point, it's like some kids just need to go work. You know, they need to be like plowing the field, and then they can get all the crazy energy out, so they can focus on school, and then they just kind of like walk through it. It's like not everybody fits that same timeline, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I think you're in a good example of where it's like you just wanted to get out the energy and be in a football team and all that stuff.
Yeah, I just didn't. I was 17, 18 years old. I had no idea really what I wanted to do.
Right.
I remember every time I'd meet with like a guidance counselor, I couldn't take it seriously. I was just sarcastic the whole time. I don't think I ever gave them like one real answer of what I want to do with my life.
Because you didn't know.
I'm 17 years old.
At 17 years old, I mean, despite what TV will make you believe, 17-year-olds don't know anything.
Yeah, you're an idiot. You're
a complete idiot. Your relationships mean nothing.
Yeah.
And your direction in life is probably going to change 1,000 times before you turn 30.
Yeah.
Why do we put so much pressure on kids who are 17?
Yeah.
It's insanity.
The only person that has ever figured it out is my little sister, who at 17 knew she wanted to be a teacher and knew who she wanted to marry. And she's 26 now and is a teacher, a great teacher down in Maryland, and she's happily married to that guy, and she figured it out.
Well, good for that, but good for her. But that's probably the exception, definitely not the rule.
Absolutely,
man. Yeah,
I had no idea.
No, neither did I. I mean, I know. I will say this: back in the back of my mind, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't think I could because. Like you with the growth spurt never happening for football. I was like, the Tom Cruise spurt never happened for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I looked like this when I was 18. Come on. So it's like, you're not exactly pushed into the business at that point. They don't go recruiting 18-year-olds who look like me. So
if you're listening to this, he looks like Fabio. Has long,
and
locks.
That's my crutch.
Yeah.
That's my cross to bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
bastard.
the hair shirt for me. No. The idea of 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds, even 20-year-olds. I didn't know what I wanted to do at 20. I was completely mystified, and it took a long, winding path to get back to. You found it back at 22. But it took me a lot longer. So at 22, what happened after you got over your depression?
I after that episode, I went and emailed the company. And
what's funny when you say that episode? If someone were listening right here, you're like, "Oh, that must have been a very serious mental breakdown." You're talking about an episode of MTV's Made.
Yes,
it's after the episode of Made.
It's still very serious as well.
Yes,
but after that episode of MTV's Made, I went and I searched the company and found they had a chapter in New York.
Okay,
and so I emailed them and I was like, I think I can do this. Blah blah blah. No response. A few months later, I was like, they were on my mind still. So I emailed them again and they were like, come to a show. So I went to a show. I saw it, and I'm 22, thinking I'm hot stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I'm witty. I'm quick, I could do improv.
I could do improvs.
Yeah, exactly. So after the show, I was like, I want to do this. I think I can do it. They were like, all right, well, come, audition. And I auditioned, and they were like, yes, you have a lot of natural talent, but you need to learn. So they let me, rehearse with them, work out with them. It was really great. Amazing improvisers.
Did they charge you?
No. They let me into the
almost
company.
Unheard of now.
It was great. They're amazingly talented people. I learned from some really great people. Yeah.
Wow. Who was there anybody who anybody would recognize, or is it just like sort of that's short form improv? And if you're not familiar with the differences, short form improv is what you might see on Whose Lines Is It Anyway?
Exactly.
Long form would be something that you'd see at Upright Citizens Brigade, or if you watch a lot of comedy movies, they're essentially long form improv. So the games are what you're talking about, and that's what you learn at Comedy Sports. So was there anybody involved in that who has gone on or had already been any kind of done anything significant in the business?
A lot of the people that I worked with are doing in commercials all over the place.
Okay, yeah.
Rory Scholl, Susan Pasquantonio is in a commercial pretty much every other month. I see her in something new.
Okay.
And a lot of theater. What was great about them was that they all had great theatrical training, and so with improv, one of the biggest tools is reference points, and they were able to just feed me with this tremendous knowledge of referential things, and so that helped me a lot. They taught me the foundation, the fundamentals of improv. Yeah. Beyond just the games and the fun of it.
Right. So you learn the rules of the game, but actually how to function within those rules. Is two different things completely.
Absolutely.
And the idea of just being spontaneously funny and things coming to the mind, there's certain things you can learn how to do to make your mind primed for coming up with funny stuff on the spot. What were some of the stuff that you learned that was the biggest aha thing for you?
One of the biggest, and I use this a lot, is A to seeing things, basically. If this is true, then what else is true? Just a lot of people will go A to B, and I'm trying to think of an example being on the spot.
Well, if we're doing an improv scene, let's say, so let's start the scene. So bamboo is our suggestion. Right. So let's break that down. So as we go, we'll try to pinpoint what we're trying to say here.
Okay, so one of the big things that we do
this is the worst scene ever.
No. I'm just, before we get into it, one of the big things we do, just to warm up, would be I think it was called Who, What, Where, maybe, or something like that. And it was in 3 lines, getting out the who of it, the where of it, and then the biggest thing would be the what of the scene, so you know what you're talking about. You know? And I might if I want to initiate a scene, just be like, look, Dave, I'm just going to tell you one more time before you get on this train. I realize you love bamboo, but that does not mean you're going to be a panda, and you cannot go to Japan.
Well, since I'm already in China, I don't see why you might want to stop me from going to Japan, given the fact that we're brothers. I want you to come with me. See, now we've established, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. The who, what, where. So now we know basically everything we need to know. We know where we are.
Right.
What's
interesting
we
to
are
me,
to each other.
Right. Now, throughout the years, what year was that when you got involved in the comedy sports?
That was 2006.
2006. So it was still around the time where things were sort of completely transitioning to the point where long form improv was the thing universally.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking short form versus long form. When I came up and I learned improv, it was all short form. That's all anybody did. Short form, game after game after game after game after game. And then when I started to get back into improv, I had to learn that this long form thing was kind of taking over. And as a teacher, as a coach, as whatever of long form improv, one of the biggest things I notice all the time is that people forget to do those very basic things you just said, which is set the location, figure out what the relationship is and who each other is, and then tell us what this scene is about. Yeah. It's funny how that basic premise from short form is so often missed in long form scenes. And I think they need to kind of merge the two when they teach, to remind people and pound it into them that your audience isn't going to know what's going on if you don't tell them X, Y, Z, or sure. ABC.
It's and it's just a challenge of how to get that exposition out there. Basically, that's the biggest challenge,
and it is exposition. I mean, maybe it's the easiest way to say it is you have to set the stage for people, or else they don't know what the hell's going on, and then you'll lose them And then it's like 7 minutes of silence as you try to thump your way through a long scene.
Right.
It's just the worst.
It can be brutal.
Oh, it's the absolute worst. Yeah. No matter what improv you're doing, when you like hit you think you've hit that big line and there's crickets.
Yeah.
There's no worse feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not just like, and because you're looking for help from other people on stage. And like improv is supposed to be where it's like you have the benefit of being on stage with a bunch of people. But that second the crickets hit, all 7 people, let's say, just freeze with the same look on their face, like, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah, that one of the big things I remember from comedy sports, and this is carried over to other groups that I've been in, and you know, I've been really fortunate especially with long form, with a lot of groups that I've been in, they just gelled so much, and you step on stage and you know someone has your back. And that's a huge thing. But that was one of the things they called it stepping on the grenade with comedy sports. And it was like, look, sometimes, you know, if you're doing some kind of game and no one has any ideas, no one has anything to say, sometimes you just got to step out there and just trust that you'll say something and that someone else will come up and get your back and say something in response to that, you know? And a lot of times you'll step out and that first person will say something and it's just makes no sense at all.
Right.
You know? And you feel like, oh, I just blew it. But then someone else will come up, and take it and run.
The art of justifying each other's moves is like, so one of the beauties of improv is like, if you just put it out there and somebody else is like, yes, and that's where that yes and comes from. It's like, yes, and we're on a rocket ship. And then you're off and running. You know, that's the beauty of it. At the People's Improv Theater, where I took a lot of classes, one of the phrases that I remember seeing or hearing was bluff, bluff, justify. Okay. And it's true. If you get stuck, and this is good for anybody, if you get stuck needing to finish a sentence, just keep bluffing until you figure it out, and then justify the thing you just been kind of like rambling on about. You know?
Yeah.
It's like being in college and having to do an oral report. Like there was one time I did an oral report about the BBC, and I absolutely had nothing. Like I had nothing. I didn't know, and I turned it into a 15-minute thing somehow.
Amazing.
And I don't even remember a word of it.
You just started. You started, and you know, one thing led to another, and led to another, and eventually people were just clapping.
Yeah. And that's improv.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then they turned off the lights, and it was over.
Yeah,
that was good. It was a good time.
Drunk. Yeah.
All right, yeah, exactly. So how long were you working with Comedy Sports specifically?
I was with them for a little over 2 years. And what had happened was after about 2-3 months of it, I realized like I would be working 9 to 5 in Jersey, and then Saturday and Sunday I'd be doing shows, you know, 2-3 shows a weekend, and then going back home on the Jersey Transit and just hating my life Monday morning.
That's rough, yeah.
After about 3 months, finally I just couldn't do it anymore. I woke up on Monday and I was like, I'm not going to work. And then Monday came. Tuesday came. My boss was calling me.
You didn't actually tell them you weren't coming.
I was just I was like, I know what I want to do now, but I don't know how to do it.
You had that epiphany, but no like capability of like expressing that.
Yeah. Finally Tuesday came, and I was like, I have to do something, you know. So I called, and I was just like, Hey, Pat, I don't like working there, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Pat was a jerk. He was such a jerk.
What kind of company was this?
It was corporate recruiting. It was just people on the phone being, you know, balls to the wall, like all arrogant.
I could never. I would last until lunch at best. The first day.
The only thing I liked about it was that I got to act. You know, I was this character. Whenever people would come in, I got to act like I knew what I was talking about. You know,
nice.
So but I hated it. I mean, it was
probably soul crushing.
It was soul crushing. Yeah. And so I quit there on the spot, and I took the little savings that I had, and I went to bartending school for a week, and then the next week I came to New York, started looking for jobs, and found a job bartending, and then I moved to New York like a few months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's very inspirational for a lot of people, I'm sure, if they heard that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people, whether it's acting or something completely different, living your life just to grab a paycheck at the expense of like your soul.
Yeah.
It's just the worst. It's the worst. And some people have to do it. I mean, and I have ultimate respect for people who like sacrifice for the benefit of others. But if like you were a single guy at 22,
that's it.
Why were you doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
You just
it's always been, I've always thought about the future and family and all that. And I was like, before I quit, I was like, I have to get a paycheck and I want to provide for my family someday. And then after I got to that low point, I was like, I don't want to have a family and then be depressed around them all the time because I'm not doing what I love.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate enough to be young enough to kind of hit that reset button. And
you're very fortunate to have figured that out so early, because there's a lot of people who have that realization when they're 52 and not that they couldn't start then. I mean, it's never too late to start, but all those years of not following that thing that really truly drives them is I feel bad.
Yeah.
And I feel fortunate that I've been able to pursue something that or several things that I really like doing. So.
Yeah.
All right. So you landed in New York City. Where did you end up living?
The first apartment was in Park Slope.
Okay.
And then after about a year, I realized I can't afford to live here anymore. That was pretty much when it was starting to.
Well, yeah. Nowadays,
baby strollers and
Sure.
So then I moved up to Harlem and been up here for 8 years now.
Was it before or after? Because nowadays it's like I try to think about like timelines and forget it. It just doesn't make any sense. But there was a time when Harlem, even going back to like different strokes, Harlem was like, oh, you might as well just be going straight to hell. In the way it was perceived and the way it was presented and in certain ways in the way it actually was. But throughout the years, either I have grown more confident and able to like look past all the hype, and or it's just become a much nicer, gentler part of town. But how was it when you got here, and has it gotten different since you moved?
It's continuing to get different. They're always improving Harlem. I mean, they're expanding City College, they're expanding Columbia. I mean, there's a lot of European money getting funneled in now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely changing. But I've been here 8 years, and it was great. I'm fortunate enough to live in a building that people have been in, they've grown up in.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bunch of families. Everyone's really nice. My neighbors are super supportive. When I have a show, they're always like, "When's your next show?"
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
I'm not that close with my neighbors in suburbia, so it's like to have that is pretty sweet.
It's a really cool thing. But yeah, people have been living in this neighborhood for a long time, and so I feel really safe. You see a lot of the same faces, not a lot of people moving in and out like in a lot of other neighborhoods.
Yeah, that makes a difference. And I think that's what probably is appreciated about parts of the city is that if people do live there and they don't hike the prices too much to force people out, you do have a community, even though it's in big buildings and you do see familiar faces and everybody's kind of looking out to make sure their community stays safe and stays the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So you got to New York City, and you were still with Comedy Sports.
I was. I was with them for about 1.5 years after I moved.
And when you first moved, you thought, well, obviously you were doing shows on the weekend, but it's not exactly, it's not necessarily in and of itself going to create a career for you. So, So what was your goal? What did you think was possible for you at that point?
Excuse me. I knew I wanted to start acting. Got some drag racers out there.
Yeah, really. Wow. This is the safe neighborhood that Rob was talking about.
You're embarrassing me, neighbors. We have guests. What was I saying?
What were your goals, or what at the time you started to say, okay, I'm going to do this? What was this? I guess was a better way to put it.
It was acting, but it was really just I knew I wanted to be on stage. I knew I wanted to figure out what there was out there. There was a lot that drove me because I felt like I was starting later than a lot of people. Like I didn't go to school for acting. And you'd hear people talking about it at the restaurant you worked at. You know what I mean? I just tried to listen to everything that was out there. People and just do whatever job I could. And I ended up, oddly enough, a girl in Comedy Sports, I knew her for about a few months, and she was like, oh, you fit this description of what we're looking for in this play. It's actually going off Broadway, and I went and auditioned, and I got that job before I even moved to New York. So I was in a play that was running off Broadway, along with Comedy Sports. So I didn't have to work as much, behind the bar away.
That's pretty good. And wait, did the Comedy Sports pay?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if they did like away gigs or something like that. Like,
okay, yeah. So
you get $50 maybe.
But the off Broadway thing was that was equity. So it was a union gig.
It was, yeah. And then they got me into like Tony and Tina's Wedding, and I started just doing a bunch of like interactive plays to kind of. So I kind of combined like improv and acting, and then obviously I started taking acting classes at T. Schreiber Studios right when I landed, and taking some scene study courses and figuring things out, but.
What was the play that you got when you first came to town?
It was called The Fantasy Party. Mm-hmm. And it ran for about a year and a half.
Were you with it the whole time?
Yeah, I tried to quit. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was just like, this isn't challenging me anymore. I was reading a lot of books. I was reading a lot of.
There's your mistake, Rob.
I was reading a lot of books. Just trying to figure out what my place was and who I wanted to be. And but a year and a half, and I was with them the whole time pretty much.
Wow. When you were with the show, was it like a full schedule, or was it how often did it run?
It ran a few times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3 times a week, and then I bartend, work in a restaurant.
So between the two of those, you had enough to keep taking classes and all that stuff, which is part of the challenge, for a lot of people, is just having enough to live and then eat and then take classes. And probably in that order is like the priority for a lot of people. Yeah. And it's hard to do.
And I just wanted to do anything, whatever show I could get in, a small little fringe festival show or off Broadway black box theater, some kind of weird experimental theater festival. I just did anything I possibly could. And then I would switch off my night shift, my lucrative night shift, to work a day shift where I'd make $75 or something like that, just to go to rehearsal at night to get paid for, or to get not paid at all. For some
exactly.
Show.
Yeah. What was the weirdest show you did, you think?
Man, it wasn't weird. It was a terrible show. It was so bad. People are still around, so I don't want to talk about anybody. But it was this farce, and it was just wasn't good. I mean, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those.
Yeah, it was just one of those where my friends were like, "Oh, you're doing a show," and I was like, "I am, but you're not coming."
Exactly. Yeah,
you're not coming to this.
You can tell my feelings about a show when just simply based on whether or not my family came to it. Yeah. I mean, it's like, don't bother, and those suck. But like when you're trying to get those reps in, you're just trying to get. Yep. Experience. Like you have to do those things, and it's important and it's good because you get to learn what works, what doesn't, and those are good experiences no matter what. I want to definitely cover a few things. So let's first talk about you and I met working on a show called Accomplice. And we can't say too much about it because it's running and we don't want to spoil it for anybody.
No, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to name names. Okay. Screw those guys. Wait, we're not.
So we won't tell you too much other than to say it was an interactive theater kind of thing.
Yes.
Where the audience interacts in various locations with actors who are part of the story, but you don't know that until you start interacting. Mm-hmm. Without saying too much, like, that's a unique experience because both of us did that, and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
because there's a loose script, and you don't necessarily know who you're going to encounter when you're there, and you're just doing your best to propel the story along, but at the same time, go with the flow with these myriad people who are coming into your environment, and you're dealing with them. So, having set that up. Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that happened to you during the course of your experience?
Wow. Without giving up any specific information about it, you every once in a while you get, because it's interactive, I would say, you get audience members that don't realize they're audience members. Some people just they like attention. They like they want to feel like they're an actor,
right?
So there's always that line, and it's like we can go back and forth, but remember which side you're on, kind of thing, and it'll be best for the whole the entirety of the show.
Yeah, it's such a weird show in that when you go see a show that's on a stage, you go see Shakespeare. The audience is in the audience, and they are up there watching the play on a stage. And at no point is the audience encouraged or directed or desired to talk to the people on the stage. Right. When you're doing interactive theater, that goes out the window.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So like, is there anything specific that you can recall that happened?
People getting physical, getting a little. This one character that I played, this woman wanted to make out a little bit
with you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and she would constantly wait for me to not be looking or something like that, or turn away and then get really close. And it was like, in character, my character might have enjoyed it, but as an and I was single at the time, as an actor, I might have enjoyed it as well. Sure, she wasn't bad looking, but it's not a line you want to cross. So right. Playing into it, but not letting it cross that line, kind of thing, was always interesting.
See, I never had anything like that. I mean, the worst cases where it's like people were violating the fact that you're a person, and it was like, like in a negative way. And they weren't trying to kiss me, but they were, saying mean things. And it's like, when you say mean things to a character that are character related, like if I'm playing dumb and you call me stupid, that's my job.
Yeah.
But if suddenly you start making fun of my appearance, then it's like, dude, I'm a person. I exist.
This is actually my own shirt I brought from home.
I don't peel my mask off at the end of this.
Yeah.
So that for me was like really where it's like, you have to stay in control of yourself, but at the same time you're like, in character, I probably would have decked this guy by now.
Yeah.
So I was like, how did you deal with that?
I mean, most times, you just try and deflect and kind of put the action somewhere else. You give and take focus when needed, and that's another thing that improv teaches you very well. Because it's not scripted, so you don't really know what's coming next. So sometimes you need to know when to just shut your mouth and let someone else go, and sometimes you need to cut them off or take focus or whatever. So a lot of giving and taking of focus. You knew what kind of outcome you wanted for the most part with the scene, and that's what it was. That it was all outlined, similar to like what Larry David would do or Chris Guest does with his films, and you know where the scene kind of ends, and you just you shepherd it to that end. Right. So I would just try and if it needed to be cut off and I needed to just send them on their way or whatever, that definitely happened a few times. And there was one time in particular when they were getting really physical with me. And it was a bunch of Jersey boys, I think. Sure. And they were getting a little soused, and they started getting physical. And it was like, it wasn't anything where they were hitting, they were like punching me, but they were poking, and like in the face and all, and like, I'm trying to be nice and stay in character. At a certain point, I was just like, all right, get the F out of here.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Right.
Go, move on. That's it.
It was as if you were playing a character, just to try and give some context, but it's like pretend Rob is saying he's playing a character who is paralyzed from the neck down. Anything they do to provoke you might make you move, and make you stop doing your job, and B, ruin the show for themselves and for other people. Yeah, and that's what people don't get.
There's a certain thing. It's like you you're coming to a show, so to speak. Let's all we all entered into this agreement to suspend our disbelief a little bit.
Right.
Just do it. You can. You don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah, it's pretty good advice all around. But in this case, especially if you are involved as an audience member in a show, remember the A in audience, right? Because maybe you'll stop thinking that you belong up on stage or punching an actor or something like that. All right, so let's get away from the interactive theater stuff and let's talk about some of the writing you've done and you're a writer performer officially. So let's talk about Halfrican American.
Okay.
Where did that come from?
That came from growing up being biracial. Basically, the whole show is really about that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I wanted to do something like it. It's a solo show that ran for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was basically my journey growing up being biracial, and it was mostly comedy, but it dealt with race, it dealt with racism,
Mm-hmm.
Self-doubt and all that. So it had its dramatic moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, I've always used comedy to kind of deal with my life. So it's mostly a comedy, but I knew I wanted to kind of get some stories out there. And I've been keeping a journal for a while, and I was moving more towards a one-man show, and I got really into John Leguizamo.
Mm-hmm.
I always have been, but then I started to really study his shows, and that he helped me kind of form how I wanted the show to look and what I wanted to be, because there's a bunch of different ways to do a solo show, and it's interactive. There's characters, there's monologues, and so and he's done pretty much all of it. But so yeah, I kept that journal for about a year. And then I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but then there was a theater festival that came up,
Mm-hmm.
and the entry for scripts was 2 months away, and I was like, you know what, it's time. I have the stories. I just need to sit down and do it. And I wrote the script for it about a month. Got into that festival, and
Where was that one?
That was at the Paul Michaels the Network One Act Festival.
Okay, that's here in the city.
It is, yeah, in New York. I remember I got with a good friend of mine who directed me, Anthony Augello, phenomenal actor and director, who's directed me in a few different things. Also, I met him doing that the Fantasy Party, which most of my friends now have come from that show. It's really cool.
That's good.
But we sat down, or we went through the script the first time. I read it out loud, and it was about an hour long. And it was just terrible. It was so bad. I was sad afterwards.
Oh,
I was
man.
like, let's just forget this ever happened and never speak of it again. And but he's such a great director, and he was like, no, let's sit down and let's go through it again. And we worked and worked and worked, and it got to what I think is a really good place. So
Cool.
Yeah.
After it went to the network, what did you do? Where did it go?
It ended up winning a few awards there, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Won Best Solo Show and Best Solo Performer. And then I ran at the Pit, the People's Improv Theater in New York for 3 months. I did it again for a short, the Living Theater downtown for a short engagement. And then I took it to a few festivals, the Urban Theater Festival in Philadelphia for a short engagement. And then I'm trying to think. And then I did it at the Seeing Place Theater in New York, in Midtown, in Hell's Kitchen.
That's pretty cool. It's the thing that something you created, something that was your life, is being carried along that much. That's very cool.
It was great. It was a cathartic experience to kind of just put it out there. And ran for about 2-3 years, and then basically the last performance was a year and a half ago. And a few people asked me, like, "Are you going to do it again?" And it was like, no, I think it was fun to perform as a show, but it was so personal, and I think I kind of closed the book. Like I closed that chapter, those stories, and I've dealt with it.
You purged yourself of whatever feelings went into it, which is amazing. And I think that's probably the real challenge of live theater. When you do a film or something like that, if this was a film version of that, you do it once and you let it go. But to find the energy to continue doing it every day or on a regular basis, that's hard to do. And that's, for me, is the biggest challenge of doing live theater, is making it new and finding the oomph to make it real again that many times. So I can totally understand that. So at some point you hooked up with other professionals and specifically representation. At what point did you have people coming up to you, or how did you find representation? Because I know you've been going on to doing some other good stuff. So how did, just for the benefit of the completion of your story. So when did representation come into it?
I'm trying to think of the first time maybe I was in the city for maybe 2 years, and a friend that I'd done a show with and I'd become friends with now had a manager, and he recommended me to her, and she got in contact with me and sent me out for a few things. That's how I booked my first job on Law and Order. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was kind of just like a one-off kind of thing, and we kind of went our separate ways. But the first, I think, doing Halfrican was when I really got noticed by some people.
So that was the thing that kind of propelled you
a little bit,
yeah.
and it's kind of become a kind of a calling card a little bit. Just it's a catchy name,
sure,
if nothing else. But, there's some clips online, and I think that was the best display of who I am as a person and as a performer, not as much as an actor, but as a performer. And through that festival, a manager and an agent, had approached me and started working with them.
That's the goal right there, is to be seen at your best in the best context.
Sure.
And are you still working with them?
Still, yeah. The manager, yes. We worked together for a while, and then went our separate ways, and then kind of they went to a different management company, and then we kind of found our way back to each other. So
who's that?
Roger Paul Management. Mm-hmm. He's been great. Been working for a few years now.
And with him, you've done a few more things. You mentioned Law and Order, and that was what you had done with that other manager. But I know you recently did stuff on the Blacklist, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
That was really cool. Great experience. Christie Street casting is awesome. They've always been really good to me. Gotten to know them quite a bit, and had some really good auditions for them. And just one of those auditions where I went in and just I knew I had it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of them that I'm like, I do not have that one. There's many more that I go, no, that's not the one for me.
Right.
But it was just one of those things. You walk into a room and you connect with the director who's there right away, and felt really good about the read, and it was great. I got to be on set with James Spader.
Yeah, you can't. How many days did you end up working?
I only one, but it was pretty long.
And you were working like just like that. You were in one location, right? So
yeah,
you were together for the most day. Of that shoot. Yeah,
it was great. It was amazing to just watch someone that is an expert at their craft.
Sure.
Their director, and not to put anyone down, but the director, deferred to him. It's a star vehicle for him. Mm-hmm. And when you see someone that just knows, especially in TV, when they just know everything, they know why the camera should be there because the action moves this way. Mm-hmm. They know why the scene should flow this way. They are able to kind of break down a script and make changes if changes need to be made. It was the coolest thing to watch, and learned so much from just being around him. Also, the guy memorizes things in an incredible amount of time.
Yeah, he's somebody who obviously just like pours himself into everything he does.
Yeah,
and he's got complicated stuff to say. He's not doing fluff a lot of the time.
Right. Yeah.
So, and for you transitioning from doing so much on stage to doing stuff for film, what was the biggest difference for you when you went from stage stuff to doing stuff on film, quote unquote, because it's all digital nowadays?
Yeah, right. The biggest thing was just the technical stuff of make it smaller.
Yeah. That's a big thing. That's not nothing. That's a huge deal.
To make it more intimate. And it helped to do the solo show because the way Halfrican was set up was that I was telling stories to the audience. So I always wanted to make them smaller, make it, bring them in closer. That was a little adjustment to not be so big and to trust that the camera will find you, kind of thing. And that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, no. So nowadays you are doing still plenty of performing, but you've been doing a lot of writing. What's the big thing now?
A few things. I stay a little busier than I should maybe need to be. But that's just one of those things where if I have the time, I want to keep creating, and I got so many talented friends around me that it's like, hey, let's just make something. Mm-hmm. It's so available to us. But there's a web series that I co-created with a great friend of mine, Chris Harbour, and co-starring Anna Becker. It's called Common Sense Police.
Mm-hmm.
It's a web series and it's a little comedic short. It was in the TV festival last year and did really well. And so we've been pitching that around. We shot 7 or 8 episodes.
What's the basic pitch of Common Sense Police?
Common Sense Police is 3 rogue cops going after common sense offenders, people that fart on elevators and stop at the bottom of an escalator and don't pick up after their dog or talk too loud in a Starbucks on their cell phone.
That's great. I'm glad somebody there was years ago I came up with the idea of doing the Nice Patrol, which is a sort of similar concept, but I had there was nothing that drew me to actually doing anything with it. So I'm glad that you had the idea and you're doing it. It's such a good thing, man. It's it's only something that now I'm vaguely conscious of. You know, just do it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But the concept alone, it was just what? Why are people such jerks all the time?
No. That needs to be said. Yeah. I mean, there's more messages of that need to be put out there. That is stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah. There's other people around, people that don't realize they're taking up too much space, or they're people that walk hand in hand on the sidewalk like big families of 6. I love you guys. Welcome to New York. I'm glad you're enjoying the city. I'm glad you're seeing all the amazing sights of how tall the buildings are. But if you're gonna you can't just park here. Think of it like you're driving. You don't just stop when you see a deer. If you want to look at a nice vista, you move to the side.
Yes, exactly.
You can't just stop in the middle of walking.
Yeah, it's like they're playing one big game of Red Rover.
Yeah, right.
That drives me nuts. The other thing that drives me nuts is when you go into. It probably doesn't happen to you nearly as much, but when I go into a supermarket and I've got the cart. And there's a woman with a cart in front of me, and she gets just past the automatic doors, stops right then and there to look at her phone.
It happened last night.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
With a supermarket? At the supermarket? Oh, I say there you go.
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought, but it probably doesn't happen at bodegas as often, but at supermarkets, it's
bodegas, it's just with people in their bodies. They're just standing hey, bodies. I'm going to pass by. Maybe you go sideways.
Right.
This can be a 2-way lane if you know.
Oh man, it's mind-boggling how people just do not seem to have sense of what's around them, and it's getting worse. Yeah. It's getting now. I sound like an old man. And you've been doing screenplays.
Yeah. The one I'm working on right now, which I'm really excited about, is actually a follow-up to Halfrican American. It's called This Is Family, and it's semi-autobiographical. It pulls from things about my life, and one thing that Halfrican did was I was able to close a chapter on my childhood, and when I look back at those stories, I was like, I had never met my biological father, and I was about 28, 29, and I was like, you know what? I can contact him. I know how to do that. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to. I didn't really know if I wanted to. I just didn't want to lose the opportunity, kind of thing. And so I finally tracked him down at 29, and we met, and it was really nice, and got to meet his father, so technically my grandfather, and his brothers, and 2 half sisters, which I'd never met before, and it was really nice to do that. And so This Is Family, the short film that I just wrote. It deals with a young father-to-be, which I am not a father-to-be now.
To the best of your knowledge.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, and that's why I don't pick up my cell phone when I don't see a blocked number. I won't take responsibility.
It's great. Papa was a Rolling Stone.
It is.
The cat's in the cradle.
Hopefully that kid doesn't listen to this podcast.
That's right.
Sorry, you're on your own, kid. You're on your own. So young father-to-be who's struggling with the decision to locate his birth father, and searching for questions about the future, about the past, and then kind of avoiding questions about the future. So we're going into pre-production right now, and we're also fundraising for it, which is exciting and frustrating and annoying.
Yeah. How are you going about it?
We're doing an Indiegogo campaign.
Indiegogo,
and we've been very fortunate, I have to say. We're looking to raise $10,000, and we just started it a few days ago, and we've already raised about 80% of our funding.
That's a pretty impressive Wow.
It's been pretty cool.
How long a duration are you?
We've about 28 more days. We're only doing 27 more days. We did it for 30 days, basically.
So depending on when this actually goes up on the internet, I sound like somebody who never looked at a computer. Yeah. When it goes up on the computer machine.
The big box, yeah.
Yeah. How would somebody find the Indiegogo campaign if they were looking for it? What's the name of the project?
It's called This Is Family. It's I think it's trending right now, which is really cool on Indiegogo's website. But if you go to there's some numbers involved in the actual URL. But if you go to Indiegogo and type in "This Is Family," it should be one of the first ones that pops up. Or go on Indiegogo Film, and you should be able to find it. But we got a great director, Rowan Bibby, great producer, 4 Times Films, and Brennan King, which no relation to me at all, but
just luck,
or me, or you, yeah, right.
As far as we know,
yeah. So I'm super excited about it.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Well, if you don't mind, like when you finally met your dad, I mean, what was the biggest thing you learned? I mean, like it's got to be 8 bajillion questions, so I'm not going to try to like boil it down and condense it for the next 2 minutes. But I mean, what was the thing that you learned that I guess that helped you close the chapter? I guess that's the.
I think I'm still dealing with it, and still taking it in, I guess. But, it was weird. I'd gone 29 years, and I'd grown up with a father, I'd grown up with a mother, I grew up with a family. So meeting him and the other people in my family that I'm related to, they were, in the most respectful way possible, they were just people to me. I didn't like open the door and be like, "Papa,"
Right.
And we embraced, and I'm sitting on his lap right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could expect. I don't think you're being disrespectful by saying that, because given just the circumstances behind it, that I think it would take a great deal of arrogance for somebody to think, well, obviously, after 29 years, he came to find me, therefore I'm Papa. I think that's fairly natural for that to happen.
And they were very, and they weren't like that at all, which was nice. They were just, I think it showed that they really cared, because I could see they were letting me kind of lead a little bit. Like, what does he need? And it was really nice. It was nice. I don't know. I kind of try and I like to check myself a little bit and be like, am I purposely being distant, about this? But I don't think so. I think it was just an experience, and I'm glad I got to meet them. But
yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, and I don't want to get too hooked on it, but it's like just that much time passing, and did you talk at all about some of the decisions that were made 29 years ago? I mean, to never have any contact that's a long time.
Yeah, we did. A lot of it was about race. My dad, my biological father is black, and my mom's white. And it's hard to believe, but in 1982, that wasn't really okay.
No, it wasn't. No.
So there's a lot of love from what I've heard from both my mom and my dad, but it was too hard for both of them, and it just
it's pretty amazing, And it's funny. It's yet another thing that we sort of. I mean, it's obviously it's less obvious, but my mom was raised Catholic, my dad was raised Jewish, and when they got together, it was not well supported by anybody. So they stayed together, and they're still together to this day. Awesome. But it did shape me who I am. Just like knowing that they sort of had to find their own way, and that I never identified with either of those religious groups. Or those religious cultures, for that matter.
Were they religious at all?
Not really. Okay. They were raised with that religion, but neither of them ever forced it upon us. We celebrated holidays as a celebration of family, not as of faith or religion. Yeah. So, I grew up outside of all that stuff, and it did sort of create this feeling like I'm kind of removed from every group that's out there. So
and is that in a good way or?
Now I think it's a good way, but
Okay.
there's a lot of like identity stuff that happens. So I'm just guessing that for you, it's very much the same, where you identify very specifically with two very specific groups, yet at the same time that that they didn't agree with the thing that brought you into this world. So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
you feel like a little bit of an other,
Yeah. There was always times where they'd always ask, back then in school, they'd do surveys or they'd ask everybody, so who here's Catholic and who here's Jewish? And it's like, well, I don't,
Yes.
not sort of,
Yeah.
but for me, it's not, there's nothing cosmetic that indicates it. So for you, you have that extra element to it, which I'm sure, like,
I look Dominican. Yeah. So then.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that it was harder for you to even avoid questions and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I've done a lot of interviews and just talks with people that are biracial or multiracial in any way, and it's always the "what are you?" question.
Yeah. I guess that's what happens. You get this "what am I?" question.
Yeah.
And then at this point in my life, at this stage of my life, it's like that has ceased to matter so much. And I sort of blend into the background anyway, and the world is sort of kind of let go of a lot of that stuff. It's like, especially here in the U.S., where it's like, and the area we live in the U.S., where religion's not so much of an identifier to who you are. Right. Today, though, you are, we live in a world where there still is, a lot of racism, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. So, what is it like for you today?
Good.
Do you ever find any difficulties because of it?
Yes, I mean, there's difficulties in everything. So I don't think anything really stands out at this point where we are. I try to look at it like if you're sensitive, you can be offended by anything.
Sure.
And I just try to look at things like what are people really saying? What's kind of behind their words? What's the intention really? Because there are people that we know, actually, you and I know, that don't know how to say things the right way. They can come off very offensive or have a cutting way of or a backhanded way of complimenting people.
Okay,
whatnot. But I was with someone a few months ago, and they were talking about race or something like that, and someone and that how they identified someone was by their skin color, and they were like, "Oh, was that asking, kind of deferring to me?" And I was like, "No, you're good. Like you were just trying to identify them. You're not. Excuse me. You're not a racist.
Yeah, right. Unless it was like preceded by lousy,
Right. Yeah.
He was one of those lousy
blanks.
Blank. Yeah.
No, what are people really saying? They may not say it the most politically correct way.
Right.
Right. But they're probably not. They probably just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's still ignorance, and there's still a big learning curve for everybody. Yeah. What about as an actor?
It sucks as an actor. It's the worst. No. It's still tough because I still am an other, and there's been this huge push the past few years of they want ethnically ambiguous. And that was a huge buzzword. It's very cool. But what I feel like it still comes down to is, but we still want to be able to put something in a box,
Yeah.
And everyone, there are some cast directors that fight for that. There's some directors and writers that will just put, male, 21 to 25 or whatever. And, they don't put has to be a Caucasian, has to be whatever. And those are great, and it's great that people are more conscious of it. But for the most part, that ethnically ambiguous thing was just crap to me.
Okay,
because people would come in, I would still get submitted for black and white roles. My manager was like, we're going to push, it says Caucasian, but you are Caucasian, so you're going in.
Right.
And they would I get seen a lot for a lot of stuff, but then it would come down to like, oh, we wanted black. Oh, we wanted urban, like you're not black. It's like, I am. I'm both, but
right.
If you're not just one, you're not.
It's so weird. It's so funny. But in 20 years from now, I hope that some actor who's, in their late 20s or something like that is going, did you realize that 20 years ago, they didn't know how to cast just people?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird. But that's, when money's involved, that's going to happen. And I don't want to dismiss it. I don't want to, I'm not being permissive when I say that, but it's like the world is just kind of weird that way.
It's tough. And I feel like no one wants to lose their job. Everyone, everyone's looking for a sure thing, and it's you just gotta keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta push through. You gotta keep it. Like for me, it's just if I'll just keep creating roles, I guess, for myself, and eventually people will catch up.
Isn't that the way? I mean, like that's what all the good auteurs have done, is just sort of put their self out there as a thing, and then suddenly that becomes a thing for other people to be. So there you go. You just keep doing what you're doing, man.
That's it.
How do people find you?
My website is www.robertnking.com.
What's the N?
N is for Neil.
Oh, is it for real?
It is, yeah. Twitter, I'm good to be the king, and that's good, the number 2, the letter B, and it's the king, THA king. If you can remember all that.
Was good to be the with an E king already taken?
Of course it was. I probably by Mel Brooks's people. I'm out there. I'm on Facebook, YouTube,
Well, people are going to look for you.
I hope so.
Hey, thanks for doing this, man.
It has been awesome. Thank you so much.
There he is, Rob King. Actor, playwright, good dude. If you want to help support his new film effort, his short film, This Is Family, go to Indiegogo.com, do a search for This Is Family, and you can donate some funds his way. As of today, with 12 days left in the campaign, they are at 87% of their goal, which is pretty lofty, and congratulations for getting this far, and of course they can always use a little bit more. And you can reach out to Rob on Twitter. He is at GoodToBeTheKing. And that is, of course, good, the number 2, the letter B, THAKING. Good to be the king. Make sure you spell the with an A and not with an E, and you will be fine. And, of course, thank you to Rob for being with us. That about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Of course, got to thank Banuba for providing the music, banuba.net. Find out where they'll be, download some of their music. Don't forget to go to nysfso.com to find out how you can submit a film to the New York Short Film Shootout. We'd love to have you involved. And don't forget to check out Treehouse Theater NYC. That's the website for the venue of the New York Short Film Shootout. They're, of course, doing some good stuff. And, of course, don't forget to check us out on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/bringyourownlunch, and we're always online on the web, on your browser or some other way of accessing a web page. Bringyourownlunch.com for all episodes past, present, and future. Subscribe on iTunes. Get involved on Stitcher. Rate and review. That's a big way for you to help us out, and we would love to get some feedback from you. Stay tuned for the Jimmy Jack Cow Punch Hour, followed by Mansoor and the Fish. And until next week when we have another great guest, this is Dave. I'll see you next Tuesday.